Imagine this: you've invested your time, your energy, your emotions into someone, a woman who, for whatever reason, turns around and wounds you. Maybe it's betrayal, maybe it's harsh words, or maybe it's just indifference where you expected care. The sting is real. Your chest tightens, your mind races, and you're left wondering how to deal with it. Most people would tell you to lash out, to cut her off, to let anger take the wheel. But let's pause there. What if I told you there's a better way, a way that doesn't leave you drowning in resentment or regret? That's where Stoicism comes in, a philosophy that's less about controlling her and more about mastering yourself. The Stoics, thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, didn't waste time trying to change what they couldn't control. They understood something profound. Other people's actions, their words, their choices, those are outside your domain. You can't force someone to feel remorse or treat you differently. What you can do is decide how you respond. When a woman hurts you, it's not the hurt itself that defines you. It's what you do with it. Stoicism teaches us to strip away the emotional chaos and see the situation for what it is, a test of your character. Let's be real. Pain isn't pleasant. When she says something cutting or walks away without a second glance, it's natural to feel that burn. But here's the Stoic twist. That feeling? It's just a sensation. It's your mind's first reaction, not your final verdict. Epictetus once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." So, step back, breathe, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? The answer, more often than not, is no. She might have sparked the fire, but you don't have to let it consume you. Now, this doesn't mean you pretend it didn't happen or let people walk all over you. Stoicism isn't about being a doormat. It's about choosing your battles wisely. If she's hurt you, acknowledge it, feel it, but don't let it dictate your next move. You're not here to beg for apologies or chase validation. You're here to stand firm in your own worth. That's the first lesson. Her actions don't determine your value. They reflect her, not you. And the moment you grasp that, you're already on the path to something greater than revenge, inner freedom. So you've taken that first step, recognizing that her hurting you doesn't define who you are. But now what? The pain's still there, lingering like a shadow you can't shake. You might catch yourself replaying the moment she hurt you, dissecting every word, every glance, wondering if you could have done something different. That's where the Stoics pull you back again. They'd tell you to stop chasing ghosts. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. The past, it's done. Her choice, it's hers. Your job now is to focus on what's in your hands, the present. Here's the practical move. Shift your energy. When she hurts you, it's tempting to spiral into self-pity or plot some grand comeback to prove her wrong. But Stoicism flips that script. Instead of wasting your strength on what's gone, use it to build something better. Seneca would argue that every wound is a chance to practice virtue, patience, resilience, self-control. Think about it. If she's shown you disrespect or disloyalty, she's handed you an opportunity to rise above it. Not for her sake, but for yours. Let's say she's broken your trust. You could confront her, demand answers, let the anger boil over. Or you could pause and ask, what's the point? Will her explanation change the facts? Will her apology erase the ache? Probably not. The Stoics would say you're better off letting go of the need for closure from her. Closure isn't something she gives you. It's something you claim for yourself. You do that by refusing to let her actions tether you to misery. It's not weakness, it's power. And here's where it gets deeper. People hurt others because of their own struggles, jealousy, insecurity, fear. That doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself, when someone wrongs you, ask, what's driving them? Maybe she's lashing out because she's lost, not because you're lacking. Seeing it that way doesn't mean you forgive her out of some saintly glow. It means you stop taking it personally. Her storm doesn't have to become yours. You've got your own life to tend to, your own goals to chase. Why let her drag you off course? This is about redirecting your focus. Instead of obsessing over her, pour that energy into yourself, your work, your growth, your peace. The Stoics believed the good life comes from living with reason, not reacting with emotion. So when she hurts you, don't let it fester. Acknowledge it, learn from it, then move on. She might never see the man you become, but that's not the point. You will, and that's what matters. Now you're starting to see the Stoic way, letting go of what you can't control and focusing on what you can. But let's dig into the next layer. How do you handle the aftermath when she's still around? Maybe she's someone you can't just walk away from, a colleague, a friend, or even family. The hurt's happened, the wound's fresh, and there she is, still in your orbit. How do you face her without losing your grip? This is where Stoicism gets practical, not just philosophical. First, you set boundaries, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. The Stoics weren't about grand gestures or dramatic exits. They were about quiet strength. You don't need to announce you're done with her or make a scene. You simply adjust your expectations. Epictetus would say, stop wishing people were different and deal with them as they are. If she's shown she can hurt you once, assume she might again. Not out of cynicism, but realism. Protect your peace by limiting how much you lean on her emotionally. Keep it civil, keep it distant, keep it on your terms. Then there's the art of indifference. Not the petty kind where you pretend she doesn't exist, but the Stoic kind where her actions don't sway you. Picture this. She says something sharp again, maybe digs at your pride. Your gut reaction is to fire back or shrink away. Instead, you pause, you breathe. You remind yourself that her words are just noise unless you give them weight. Seneca called this training the mind to endure. You don't have to like her, but you don't have to let her rattle you either. That's your victory. Staying steady while she flails. And what if she notices? What if she sees you're not reacting, not chasing, not breaking? She might push harder, test your resolve. Or she might back off, confused by your calm. Either way, it's irrelevant. Your goal isn't to impress her, it's to preserve yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this case, her. Don't mirror her chaos with your own. Rise above it. Let her stew in her choices while you walk away stronger. This takes practice. Some days you'll slip, feel the anger bubble up, want to call her out. That's fine. Stoicism isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. When you stumble, you reset. You ask, what can I learn here? Maybe it's that you trusted too fast or ignored red flags. Take the lesson, leave the baggage. Over time, you'll find her power over you fades, not because she changes, but because you do. You're not the man she hurt anymore. You're the man who grew from it. That's the Stoic path, turning pain into purpose, one steady step at a time. At this point, You've got the tools, recognizing what's in your control, redirecting your focus, setting boundaries, and mastering indifference. But let's face the final piece. What happens when the hurt lingers longer than you'd like? When you've done the work, but her shadow still creeps into your thoughts. This is where Stoicism doesn't just help you cope, it transforms you. It's not about erasing the pain overnight, it's about making it irrelevant to who you're becoming. The Stoics had a trick for this, reframing. Take that hurt and flip it. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." That sting you feel? It's not just a scar, it's a forge. Every time you choose not to let it break you, you're hammering out a tougher version of yourself. She might have meant to wound you, but she's accidentally handed you a chance to build resilience. You don't thank her for it, but you don't curse her either. You just use it. That's the Stoic alchemy, turning lead into gold. Now let's talk about forgiveness. Not the sappy kind where you hug it out, but the practical kind where you free yourself. Holding on to resentment is like gripping a hot coal, expecting her to feel the burn. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly, reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. This doesn't mean you excuse what she did. It means you stop letting it rent space in your head. You're not doing it for her, you're doing it for you. Because the longer you cling to that grudge, the longer she's winning, even if she's long gone. And here's the kicker. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. When you let go of the need for her to change or pay or see your worth, you're not numb, you're liberated. You start to see her for what she is, a person, flawed like anyone, acting from her own mess. You don't need to fix her or fight her, you just need to outgrow her. The Stoics believed life's about living according to nature, your nature. Yours isn't to wallow or wage war, it's to rise, to reason, to thrive. So, where does this leave you? Stronger than before she hurt you. Not because the pain's gone, it might never fully vanish, but because it doesn't own you. You've taken her strike and turned it into a stepping stone. She's a chapter, not the story. And as you move forward, you'll find something she can't touch. A quiet, unshakable peace. That's the Stoic promise. Not a life without hurt, but a life where hurt doesn't rule. You're not the man who begs for respect or burns for revenge. You're the man who knows his worth, walks his path, and lets the rest fall away. That's how you handle a woman who hurts you, not with fists or fury, but with the calm power of a mind at peace. Let's pull it all together now, because this journey, handling a woman who hurts you, isn't just about surviving the moment. It's about rewriting how you live every moment after. You've already seen the Stoic blueprint. Her actions aren't your burden. Your reaction is your power, and peace is your prize. But what does that look like when the dust settles, when the sting fades but the memory lingers? How do you make sure she doesn't leave a permanent mark, not because she's still there, but because you've let her define you? This is where Stoicism doesn't just patch you up. It builds you into something unbreakable. Start with this. The hurt she caused isn't a life sentence unless you make it one. Epictetus hammered this home. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. That argument she started, that betrayal she pulled, that cold shoulder she gave, it's all just raw material. You're the one who shapes it. If you see it as disaster, it'll weigh you down like an anchor. But if you see it as a challenge, a chance to test your steel, it becomes something else entirely. She doesn't get to decide what it means. You do. And that's where the real shift happens. You stop being the victim and start being the architect. Think about the last time she hurt you. Maybe it was a cutting remark that hit your pride, or maybe she walked away when you needed her most. Your first instinct was probably to fight back or shut down. Fair enough. Those are human reflexes. But Stoicism asks you to go further. Step outside yourself for a second. Picture Marcus Aurelius sitting in his tent during a war, scribbling, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it." He's not saying, ignore the pain. He's saying, don't let it own you. You feel it, you nod at it, then you decide what comes next. That's freedom. And what comes next isn't about her. It's about you. She might never apologize, might never see the damage, might even think she won. Let her. Your victory isn't in her regret. It's in your refusal to let her chaos become yours. Seneca would tell you to treat it like a storm. It rages, it passes, and you're still standing. So you set those boundaries we talked about. Keep her at arm's length, not out of pettiness, but preservation. You redirect that energy, work on your craft, lift your weights, read your books. You don't do it to spite her. You do it to save yourself. Over time, she becomes a footnote, not a headline. But let's get real. Some days, it's harder. You'll catch a memory, hear her name, feel that old burn flare up. That's when you lean on the Stoic habit of reflection. Ask yourself, why does this still hit me? Is it her, or is it something in me I haven't faced? Maybe you gave her too much power early on, trusted too blindly, expected too much. That's not her fault. It's your lesson. Take it. Adjust. Next time, you'll see the signs sooner. Guard your peace better. The Stoics didn't believe in wallowing. They believed in learning. Every bruise is a teacher if you let it be. And here's the deeper cut. She's not your enemy. Not really. She's just a person, stumbling through her own mess. Marcus Aurelius had this habit of reminding himself, they're not evil. They're ignorant, or hurting, or lost. Seeing her that way doesn't mean you let her back in. It means you let her go. You stop needing her to be anything, villain, redeemer, ghost. You release that grip, not for her sake, but because carrying it exhausts you. Forgiveness, Stoic style, isn't a gift to her. It's a gift to yourself. You're not saying it's okay. You're saying it's over. So where does this leave you after 1,000 words of wrestling with it? Stronger, if you've been listening. Not the loud, flexing kind of strong, but the quiet, rooted kind. The kind that doesn't flinch when she walks by, doesn't crumble when the past whispers. You've turned her hurt into your fuel, her storm into your calm. She might have thought she broke you, but she didn't. She sharpened you. And that's the Stoic triumph. Not erasing the pain, but outgrowing it. You don't need her to see it, to feel it, to care. You see it. You feel it. You know it. That's enough. This isn't the end of your story. It's the start of a better one. A woman who hurts you isn't your downfall. She's your forge. You walk away not with scars to flaunt, but with a mind that's clearer, a will that's tougher, a soul that's freer. The Stoics would nod at that. They'd say you're living now, not just reacting. So take this, use it, grow from it. She's done her part. Now you do yours. And when the next hurt comes, from her or anyone, you'll be ready. Not with anger, not with fear, but with the steady gaze of a man who knows his worth and won't let anyone shake it. That's how you handle it. That's Stoicism. That's you.